The following podcast is a W2M Network original production. Visit W2Mnet.com for all of our other great podcasts, plus news, reviews, articles, and opinions from the worlds of wrestling, video games, football, and entertainment.
Hello and welcome to the Fantasy Football to the Max mock draft. My name is Brandon Biskobing. I will be your host for tonight and basically acting as Roger Goodell. Hate mail all you want. Yes, you guys can boo me. Go ahead. Joining me, as per usual, is my normal co-host, Jason Teasley.
I am the chairman of the W2M Network.
I think Sean would beg to differ, but fair enough. And
we'll park it dance.
And for this special, because we need all hands on deck, the rest of the cast from the Kickoff is joining us. The voice you just heard right there, Harry Broadhurst, who I've seen enough today.
Yeah, this is like our fourth podcast today. We started at like 4 in the afternoon. By the time we finish this, it'll be after midnight. Let's get this started already.
Yeah. And the final peg to this wheel is Erik Watkins.
Okay, joke aside for that one, I think Jason's referring to a different kind of chairman.
Yeah, I know this. I know this.
I am the Laparca.
By the way, for those of you counting, softball count 1, and I let it go. I am going to keep track.
Well done, Erik. He's starting to learn. He's starting to mature finally. Huzzah!
No,
for now.
No matter what my age says on my driver's license.
Oh God.
Okay, so before we get into the picks and the analyses of the drafts, let me go through the rules. We're going to do a 12-man league, each of us picking for 3 teams, and it's going to be a 2-round mock draft. So, with that being...
Hold on, time out.
What?
We have already established math is not your strong suit. We have 4 teams.
No, 3 teams apiece, 4 people. 4 times 3 is 12.
I think he's saying that we're each picking 3 teams. Each of the 4 of us is picking 3 teams,
yes.
Jason.
Yeah, but he didn't convey that properly.
Yes, I did.
But okay.
Everyone
like
did to me as the person with a math degree. I'm siding with Brandon.
Thank you, Erik.
Well, you missed out on the whole conversation earlier where he couldn't do math.
So, with that being said, the New York Giants, because that is my fantasy football team name for a lot of my teams, and it fits perfectly for who I'm about to pick. The pick is in. With the first overall pick in the 2018 Fantasy Football to the Max mock draft, the New York Giants select Saquon Barkley, running back, New York Giants. I mean...
How hard would that have been, Cleveland?
I mean, come on. This is really a foregone conclusion. Disregard the fact that I'm a Giants fan. Saquon Barkley is hands down the best player in the best position to have good fantasy football stats this year. Jason and I already talked about it a couple of weeks ago when we did our running back and wide receiver analyses. Saquon Barkley is one of the top 10 running backs overall in fantasy football this year. He's on the best team in terms of stability. Yes, the Giants don't have an astounding offensive line, but he's still going to do very well. So, that's all I got to say about that. So, I believe Harry has Jason has the next pick, correct?
No, I have the 4th pick.
Oh, okay, Harry does have the next pick. So, Harry, you have the floor.
You were right the first time. It's me. Okay, I'm not going to do anything like naming the teams and stuff because, frankly, with us doing 6 rounds of this, that's going to get confusing for me, especially since I have to keep track of 3 different teams. Not going to work. As much as it physically pains me to do this, because I think that there is a very high bust potential here as much as there is a superstar potential here. With the second overall pick, I take Sam Darnold, quarterback, USC.
Wow.
Wow, man. Wow, that was hell, he ain't even in my top 40 yet.
Yeah.
He's 26. He's at 26.
Yeah, he's at 26 for
Last year.
myself as well, actually.
Yeah,
The thing with Darnold is Darnold comes in with the most experience in an NFL system, having played out at USC. Not to mention, Darnold has proven that when his focus is there, he has an NFL arm. The problem is like I said when I was making the pick, there is just as high of bust potential as there is a superstar potential here. And the same can be said of another quarterback who will probably be selected soon as well.
All I've got to say is you don't know the New York Jets like I do, having lived in the New York area for most of my life. Need I say anything more about their past quarterback escapades at the top of the draft?
All right.
I do have 2 words for you, but fumble.
Exactly.
Hashtag Sanchez.
My point exactly.
And that was a USC quarterback going to the Jets.
Yeah.
But with Darnold, I feel like they're going to give him an opportunity to grow. I don't think they're going to immediately force him into the starting position in the Jets.
But wouldn't that also drop his fantasy stock for this year?
See, it wasn't clarified to me as if we were doing for this year, if we were doing franchise mode here.
Yeah, we're going back. I told you best player available, and you pull a Jets. You pulled that was the proper pick.
All right. Watch what
Jet.
happens. Watch what happens when we go back and listen to this and we tabulate everybody's fantasy points at the season, and I still win. Screw all of it.
I will be willing to bet a nice frosty adult beverage on that.
Yeah.
Well, mine would have to be a root beer because I don't drink. But you're on.
Well, I mean, hey, A&W has frosty mugs.
They closed all the A&W restaurants up here. I was pissed. Anyways.
Okay,
all right, Eric, at the 3 spot, who you taking? And if you take my guy, I will drive to Jacksonville and stab you in your throat.
Yeah, no pressure. I do have one team name in mind because
you don't need to do team names. I just did just because of the joke. I was just making a joke because he's also on the Giants.
Well, but with the 3rd overall pick in this draft, I select Josh Rosen, quarterback, UCLA.
Well,
yes, many a battle against Darnold in the Pac-12, but even with the UCLA system, I feel he has made a lot of NFL-capable throws. He has been a very competent system. My one knack, little bit injury-prone, but I think if he can put on just a teeny bit of weight, everything else will fall into place.
I would definitely take Rosen over Darnold because I feel like Arizona is much more secure and stable of a franchise than the Jets are.
Arizona doesn't have a quarterback for him to learn under.
I'll give you that, but he has I think he has more pieces around him to where he's not going to be under as much pressure.
Not at all, and especially looking at the state of the NFC West as it is, Rosen, even though he's going to be more primed to be a starter week 1, he's got time to go through those growing pains because Arizona isn't expected to set the world on fire, at least for the next couple of years.
All right, since you guys have royally screwed up any common logic that I've had.
Yeah, really, same here.
I'm going to take the second best player available at the 4th spot that you guys sanded me on a silver platter. That's Darius Geis. I mean, he's arguably the second best running back in this draft, and you guys served him up to me on a silver platter. So, yeah, I'm going to take him with the number 4 spot. And that wasn't even who I wanted.
I'm going to
Wait,
Go
no,
ahead.
stop, because I want to talk about this Geis selection here. Are we sure Geis is over his immaturity issues?
Everything I'm seeing is he's going to be starter week 1 with Thompson being the change of pace back on third downs, but they're working guys in to even take over that role by mid-season.
I don't trust the guy, and if I don't trust the guy, I won't draft him. We all saw what happened with the combine and the claims that he made about a team asking him if he was gay.
That's true.
Yeah, not to mention, look at kind of what's around him in Washington. I mean, yes, if you're looking for certain fundamentals, he has them, but I don't know. I mean, with Alex Smith and what he's going to do in his style at quarterback, running game, a question mark filling question marks.
Well,
The
I
best-
mean, I'm drawing a blank on his name right now. His running back last year in Kansas City.
Hunt,
yeah, Hunt had a great season last year under him, so, I think Geis, as long as he can get over the maturity issues, I think Geis can definitely have a good season.
So,
And
all right, we're back.
so-
Back up to you,
Yep.
Brandon.
So-
Picking
with the 5th overall pick, I'm going to stay along the same lines as Jason and go with Sony Michel out of New England. I think especially, I know we say it every year, that, Brady's going to start to slow down. It may not happen this year, but I think they could definitely go more towards the running game. And New England, even if they don't focus on the running game, they always seem to have at least a decent running game. So he'll have a solid year.
I just don't trust New England running backs.
Yeah, New England running backs historically have crapped the bed. Unless they're having like super one-game monster performances on a season-to-season basis, they really don't deliver.
Well, that's because they don't invest a lot of trust in the running game a lot of times because of Brady. But I really think that, well, with everything going on, you're going to need more stability in the backfield. And, hey, Michelle, I don't see too much of a problem. He's not going to be the main guy or a main feature the first even 4 or 5 weeks into the season, but at some point, I think if you put that together, that one-game monster performance, well, the attitude is going to change a little bit.
So now we're back to Harry. Well,
and
go
I
ahead.
think I might be about to piss off Jason.
Oh, God.
I'm pretty sure you are, because especially if you listen to our pre-draft.
Well, not just the pre-draft. We kind of had this conversation when we were doing the kickoff preview as well, and he was one of the guys that you picked as your big sleeper of the first round for the NFL draft.
Yeah, you're going to piss me off.
My number 6 pick in overall here, so the first pick for my second team, will be DJ Moore of the Carolina Panthers.
Oh, no, you didn't piss me off.
DJ Moore takes over the spot that was vacated when they traded their star wide receiver to Buffalo last year. And it has the very strong opportunity to become the number 1 receiver for Cam Newton on a regular basis.
Yeah.
And reports are that he's developing a nice repertoire with Cam, and Cam is putting a lot of trust in him early on.
So with my second pick, I'm going to take DJ Moore, wide receiver, Carolina Panthers.
Okay.
Not a bad pick. I mean, he's right there in that cluster.
Oh, yes.
Of people that I would say that could go at 6. So, Erik, are you going to piss me off and this be the second time that I've threatened your life on a podcast?
Keep in mind, all of this evidence is being gladly recorded. And, yeah, if anything happens to me, just be warned if you ever go through my hard drive. Everything's okay, but it's just, yeah, you're going to raise some eyebrows.
I've watched Dexter enough.
Alrighty then. Oh, well, at least my blood is on file and the sample for all the blood donors, so yeah, it's an easy match. Anyways, for my second pick, I think this is one that this particular team I feel got right, especially because they got a couple of other key picks wrong. With how they're going to be set up offensively for this season, knowing that they can go nowhere but up, my second round pick, which would be seventh overall pick, Nick Chubb of the Cleveland Browns.
All right, Erik, your life is safe.
You took my pick though.
You already
So I
picked
can't.
You already picked the Georgia running back, Biskobing. Shut up. Erik, make your reasoning.
Chubb.
Well, the reason why with Chubb, we've seen we've seen what Cleveland did, or what they wanted to try to do with Duke Johnson, my boy out of Miami. You need this kind of, while he's more smaller, a little bit flashier, can catch more passes, they need, especially with Tyrod Taylor at quarterback, much more of that kind of power running. And I think Chubb will be the guy to deliver that. Take some of the pressure off and then open up some more gadget plays, things like that for Taylor. And down the road, be it next season or afterwards, unfortunately, Baker Mayfield. Again, this is one of those more pressure-relieving picks that fundamentally sound.
Well, with the 8th pick and what has secured the livelihood of two of my cohorts here, I'm going to take a running back that I spoke highly of on many draft preview shows that I was a part of. Does anybody remember who I am speaking of?
I just said his name, Rashad Penny.
No.
Oh, well, damn. I'm out. I lose. Is it Ronald Jones?
Ronald Jones II.
Okay.
Who I spoke in depth and highly of. I think he is going to be a perfect fit to fill the void that Doug Martin leaves behind, and in a very young offense, and the fact that the quarterback is suspended for 3 games, he's going to get a lot of carries coming out the gate. So I'll gladly take Jones II at the number 8 spot, happily.
Okay. Fair enough. Now it's the time that I will take the person that Harry mentioned just a little while ago. I will take at number 9, Rashad Penny from Seattle. I definitely think that, especially with Seattle's offense, it's not the same as it was in the past. Not quite as good as it was, but still, especially with how highly touted Penny is, shades of Marshawn Lynch could potentially be in his future.
If they get an offensive line, I see that very possible. I just don't think that they've got the offensive line currently.
Like I said, there is that big if, because it's not quite that dynamic offense that they had back then. But
so we're back to Harry.
Yep.
All right, so I've already technically speaking, this is my 3rd different team because, this would be the 10th pick of the first round, so technically this would be my 3rd team. So I guess, you know what? I'm going to go with it. Because I think he's going to be starting by the end of the season anyway. I'm taking Josh Allen, quarterback, Buffalo Bills.
Wow.
Not number 30. 37 guy.
I mean, we've talked about this. I heard you mention this. I get where you're coming from with who he would have around him, with the conditions, with everything set up, and the beauty that is Orchard Park, New York. I'm still not seeing it. I'm seeing Brock Osweiler 2.0 written all over him.
There are those that are making comparisons, calling him the next Jim Kelly, though, especially with the current conditions and the arm that he has that was cutting through the wind in Wyoming, much the same way that it could cut through the wind in Buffalo.
I do remember that, and I also remember who else they mentioned as the potential second coming of Jim Kelly. Drew Bledsoe. How did that work in Buffalo?
Bledsoe actually had a couple of decent years up in Buffalo. Anyway, back to my statement on Josh Allen here, real quick here. A.J. McCarron is not a long-term answer in Buffalo.
No.
A.J. McCarron was somebody to try to move our offense forward after the dog days of Tyrod Taylor. Don't get me wrong. Forever grateful to Tyrod Taylor for breaking the playoff curse.
So will I for helping us out for 3+ quarters.
That's eat me, Watkins. Anyway.
Hashtag 10-3.
Back to what I was saying here. McCarron was a stopgap in order to try to get the offense moving again after we were kind of stymied under Tyrod Taylor's control. Josh Allen is somebody who, if he lives up to his potential, can be a game-changing quarterback in Buffalo. And honestly, I see him starting in Buffalo by the end of the season and probably putting up big fantasy numbers if he's able to do so. Because odds are there's going to be a lot of games Buffalo's trailing in come later in the season if we have to resort to Allen. He's going to pass a lot.
I can see that. So, Erik, you're up.
Well, as this would also be a different team, I'm actually going to borrow a little bit of Harry's logic, but for a guy that I had a bit of high praise of, I too will think will be starting by the end of the season. And when I heard him being drafted, I thought he was my personal sleeper of the first round.
Can I guess?
Lamar Jackson of the Ravens. Baltimore is positioning themselves up to give Flacco maybe a little bit more time, and then off he goes. He has a very capable dual-threat quarterback to learn under in RG3, but I think that his arm, especially from everything that I've seen watching him at Louisville, is a little bit more underrated, and I'm proud that he stuck to his guns and saying, no, I'm not going to switch positions. I am very capable at quarterback, and I'm going to show you what I can do. And I think Baltimore is going to give him that chance. And it may not be too terribly long, especially how quickly he can acclimate during the preseason before Jackson's the main guy under center.
I'm okay. I'm going to just go with the 12th pick and take a guy that I think is going to be starting by the end of the season because he has no competition in front of him, and he's the seventh best running back on the board, and he's making strides up in that Mile High Stadium, and I have taken Royce Freeman.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't argue too much, especially with how traditionally, also mostly above average that line is, and with Keenum being there, they have a capable quarterback. Yeah, I can't fault that too much. Well, you seem awful smug these past couple of picks.
I hope one of your guys tears an ACL in training camp.
Now, be nice.
No, I will not.
So that
Hey, I've got a frosty root beer that's going to be coming my way.
So that ends the first round. So now each of our teams gets to pick 4 more. Or 3 more, excuse me. See, now I'm screwing up the math. Thanks a lot, Jason.
No problem. That's why I'm here.
So now we go to the second round, and the first pick of the second round draft with the first pick of the second round draft.
Just play your sound effects.
I did. Start over. I just did. I'm taking I'm taking Calvin Ridley out of Atlanta. Yes, he's not going to get all of the passes because they still have Julio Jones there, but he can definitely be a solid number 2 wide receiver, and with that pass-happy offense in Atlanta, I think he can put up some very good numbers this year.
Isn't he going to be like the 3rd receiver in Atlanta?
He's starting out as a 3rd slot receiver behind Jones and
Mohamed Sanu.
Yeah. But even coming out of the slot, I think he could still get some decent fantasy points.
There's talk of moving Sanu to the slot and creating a nightmare matchup with Julio on one side and Ridley on the other.
Yeah.
That would be insane, at least for the regular season.
I want to thank Brandon for not screwing up my pick here, so I don't have to come to South Carolina and throat stab him.
What's your wide receiver pick now?
You picked a guy who will be lucky to be wide receiver 3 in Atlanta. I'm picking a guy who will probably be wide receiver 1 in Dallas, Michael Gallup.
Yeah.
I like Gallup, but not as much as I like. I've got like 3 people in front of him.
I just like the fact that he's going to be getting so many looks with the ball this year from Prescott because Prescott doesn't really have any great options at wide receiver coming back.
True.
I mean, they added Hearns.
Hearns is going to set to be the number 1 guy.
Okay, but here's the thing, Erik, and you can attribute to this as a Jacksonville Jaguar fan. Allen Hearns inconsistent.
Yeah, but
there were
times where he disappeared.
There are certain weeks where he'll have 7 for 135, and then there are other weeks where he'll have 2 for 26.
Yeah, especially with the Robinson on the other side, there were times where he disappeared. So I give that one to you.
And he has a much better running back in the backfield in Dallas and Ezekiel Elliott than he ever did in Jacksonville as well.
Don't remind me. Ugh.
I feel like Gallup is poised for a big season, especially as the probable number 1 and or WR2 to Dak Prescott in Dallas. And let's be honest here, that line is going to give Prescott all kinds of times to make throws.
Well, Erik, you're up, man. And hopefully you don't take my pick.
I make no promises, but I will say, as long as you keep talking about get to me. You dealt with our humidity this past week. Yeah, you may melt before you find my house. But anyway, we've already addressed this team's needs. Capable running back. Could be very dynamic. Got a quarterback that came in off of a great season. But while they've upgraded at those, they could use a bit of an upgrade at one position to where the guy has somebody to throw to. And with the guy that's actually going to be slinging the ball, I don't see this as too much of a problem. Courtland Sutton, Denver. Now, with the guy like Case who knows how to spread the ball around, I think he's going to develop more faith in a guy like Sutton than the other receivers that Denver has.
Well, I mean, I like Sutton. I don't like him this year. I like him going forward. I think he's going to take over. I think he's going to take over as the lead receiver next year, and I think he's going to have a bright future. I think he's going to be stifled this year, though. Yeah. I think he's going to be that 3rd receiver.
I apologize for interrupting you there, Jason. But yeah, I was going to say the same thing here. I'm looking at one of the rookie mock drafts online here, and one of the comments made, and we can put the link in the description here for this here from DynastyGuru.com. Masika says that now I take Sutton as a long-term investment. Ridley is the similar investment who may have a better rookie year, but I prefer Sutton's long-term upside. Demaryius Thomas and Emmanuel Sanders are free agents after next season and have big cap hits, $17.5 and $12.9 million respectively each. So I don't think this is the year for Cortland Sutton, but I could very easily see next year being the year for Cortland Sutton.
Well, maybe, because you mentioned both of those guys. Neither of them had 1,000-yard seasons. Could they also have breakout years this year because, again, this is potentially contract year, free agent year? Yes. But at the same time, if they don't, would it really surprise you for Cortland Sutton to emerge a little bit earlier than expected?
We shall see what happens.
I'm going to go with a dark horse pick. I spoke highly of him on pre-drafts. When I see where he landed and I see that he's going to be under a learning tree of one of the best wide receivers in the game today with a tremendous work ethic, and he's got a young quarterback, a rookie quarterback that he can bond with and they have a bright future together, and one of the arguably best running backs in the NFL today. Yeah, it's hard to pass up him here at my 16th spot.
I have a prediction if I can.
Who's your prediction?
Is it James Washington?
Nope.
Can I make a quick prediction?
Yeah, go ahead, Eric.
Christian Kirk.
You are correct. You win the golden ticket today. Christian Kirk, learning under Larry Fitzgerald.
To be fair, I was thinking it was going to be Washington too until he said rookie quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
The Steelers drafted Mason Rudolph.
But he's not going to be starting.
No, but it's somebody that Washington can learn with. Hell, they already know each other. They both went to OK State.
True.
Go ahead, Jason.
So Christian Kirk, I mean, he's going to be that little slot, Wes Welker type guy. He's going to be able to learn with Larry Fitzgerald. He's going to grow with this Arizona team has a lot of upside in the future. I mean, this could be a dominant force with the nucleus that they're putting together, running back, quarterback, and with a successor to Fitzgerald once he leaves. I'm just saying. I think that Kirk's got a very bright future ahead of him.
Yeah, I could see that.
Yeah, and as long as they keep the offensive line even similar to what they had with Bruce Arians, yes, there's a lot of talent to work with. No argument for me.
Yeah. So,
all right, back to you, Brandon.
Yep. With the 17th overall pick, I am going to take Mike Gesicki out of Miami. He's, that Dolphins offense isn't the most stable, but I think he's definitely going to help with, having that dump-off option for Tannehill. And I think he could get some decent points this season out of Miami.
Well, not to mention, I think his stock went up even further with Amendola's injury.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he's my number one tight end coming off the board, so not a bad pick.
I'm actually going tight end as well. Although my tight end that I'm picking is somebody that's going to be splitting time, but he's going to be splitting time with the Super Bowl champions. I'm picking Dallas Goedert.
Yeah, that was a toss-up. If no one was going to pick him, he would have been my next pick.
I think that Goddard is one of those guys who has potential to be a game-breaking receiver at the tight end position in the NFL. He reminds me a lot of Jimmy Graham. He is a tight end with a wide receiver's abilities. The only issue that I see for Goddard in fantasy this year is the fact that he's going to be playing behind Zach Ertz. And Zach Ertz is obviously going to get the majority of the start for the plays at tight end for Philadelphia. But look out for Goddard when he is on the field because he has potential to be a game changer.
Not a bad pick.
Yeah.
No.
Erik, you're up.
Well, I too, and I was thankful because I thought, well, I know my tight end is going to be here, at least I hope. I am going with one more closer, little Brandon's neck of the woods, Hayden Hurst. Because, I mean, with Baltimore, again, whoever's going to be quarterback throughout the season between Flacco, well, he can help as far as with dump-offs, very good route runner, at least give Flacco an opportunity to bail out himself. Or if it's Jackson, well, shorter routes or more of your intermediates, you need a bit of a bigger guy, so that way, if your deep threats are covered, you can still make those plays. I think Hayden Hurst going to Baltimore, another good fit. And again, Ozzie Newsome, his last year's GM, he's like, okay, this is what I was. This is what I see. This is what I like. And I think he didn't disappoint in this case.
I'm kind of torn here with my next pick between three people. So I'm going to go with my gut, who I think is going to have the better season this year. And I don't know how he'll be a solid guy down the line, but I think this year he has every opportunity to excel because they got rid of their whole wide receiving core after making a playoff run, but they still got a subpar quarterback. But Erik, would you like to guess who I'm taking?
Not quite this time, because you just described a few different teams in that situation.
I think I know who he's talking about.
It's a team near and dear to your heart.
He's referring to DJ Chark.
Yep.
Yes, DJ Chark. He has every opportunity to excel. There's no wide receivers that's going to push him for playing time in Jacksonville. So
for the absolute stupidest of reasons, but yes, I'm forced to agree with you.
So I will settle in and take that pick happily.
All right, can you start off our last set of picks?
Yep. This is going to be a bit of a reach. But I just feel I think they're going to get their act together this year. They started off slow last year, but they played very well towards the end. And I think with how dynamic this offense is, he'll still have a solid year. My final pick is Tre'Quan Smith from New Orleans.
Not a bad pick. I think he is one of my super sleepers that people are letting fall down their draft for the most asinine reasons. Well, it's a crowded. There's not too many people. Yeah, but you got to look outside. He's going to have the ability to excel.
So, exactly.
Totally
Even if it's not necessarily this year, down the road, with how dynamic the New Orleans offense is, he'll move up that depth chart and he will get some solid points.
All right, Harry, with your last pick, who are you taking?
I'm torn between two wide receivers here, one of which I've already mentioned, the other which I haven't yet.
I'm going to say the two wide receivers you're torn between is James Washington and Anthony Miller.
You are 100% correct, sir. And I think I'm going to go with Anthony Miller because I think he's going to get more looks this year than Washington, since Washington's behind Antonio Brown and Juju Smith-Schuster.
That's the exact reason why I was wary of taking Washington myself. I was looking at him for a bit too, but then I was like, no, he's going to be a very
at best,
far third. Yeah,
at best he's wide receiver 3 in Pittsburgh, and that's not
actually. He's probably going to be the 4th option because Bell catches a lot of balls out of the backfield.
Yeah,
this is assuming Bell plays though,
and
there's talk going around that Bell's going to hold out.
I would understand if he would, but right now I don't know 100% if that's a good idea for him. I think he'll realize that at some point.
I would hope so as well, but if you're in fantasy, then that does help the long-term plans for James Washington.
True.
If Bell doesn't play, because they're going to look to go more to their wide receivers than relying on running backs than they would if they have Le'Veon in the backfield. Whereas I think the thing with Chicago and Trubisky is Trubisky's a young quarterback, so he's more likely to lean towards a young wide receiver. He now has one with reliable hands in Anthony Miller that he can rely on. And I think that's going to be the big difference here, that Miller's going to get a lot more looks this year than Washington does. And that's why my pick at this spot here is Anthony Miller out of Chicago.
And he's going to face a lot better matchups than Allen Robinson.
I think the dog likes my pick.
Yeah, I think the dog was pissed off because I said that he's going to face favorable matchups opposite of Allen Robinson. So.
All right, Erik, your final pick is up.
Let's see, with this one, I know there's been a lot of talk somewhat about him, but the situation really is going to be better than he thinks because, well, again, competition is limited, big change at quarterback, and even though he's from a school I'm not particularly fond of, I even have to respect a little bit of his talent. Antonio Callaway. Because, I mean, again, yeah, I was waiting for that sound effect. A good thing I'm going to have to take a shower after this anyways. But with him, even with surrounding the whole Josh Gordon situation, however, that eventually fleshed out through the course of the season, Callaway, fast, and I think, again, with a quarterback like Taylor under center, I think it's going to be another very, very good fit for how Hugh Jackson loves to run his offense.
Okay. Well, to close out the second round, I'm very torn between two people, but I'm going to lean with a wide receiver who landed in a pretty solid, favorable offense. Nice young quarterback.
I think I know who you're referring to.
That once he got the chance to start, he proved that there was a reason that he was traded from his previous team.
You are referring to Dante Pettis.
Yes, Dante Pettis going to the 49ers with sexy Jimmy G throwing him the ball.
The issue that I have with that pick, though, and I kind of looked at him myself, is that he's wide receiver 3 in San Francisco.
Yeah. And also, I have a feeling that while they're still going to be good, I feel like the momentum that they were riding last year is going to simmer a little bit this year. They're not nearly going to have the type of numbers that they had last year.
All right, who are you putting as wide receiver 1 and 2 in San Francisco?
Garcon and Goodwin, according to the article that I'm reading.
Okay, Garcon is like 115 years old.
He's 32.
Okay, in wide receiver years, that's almost Methuselah.
Okay, but again, Jason, I'm 32. Granted, I'm not nearly as athletic, but give a man at least a little bit of respect.
Well, I mean,
Jason is
well,
Methuselah. That's why he's making the comparison.
yeah. I mean, me and Tom Brady's the same age. I mean, come on. But I think I'm older than Tom Brady. That's scary. Yeah, let's put that in perspective.
Well, look, with what Tom Brady and the kind of memes that he commented on, you're just fine.
But
Go ahead.
the fact that I could go to my teammates and get high fives, that says a lot about me. But I think honestly, he's going to be the wide receiver too. I like Goodwin. I think Goodwin's going to be push Gerson for that top spot. But I'm looking more tail end of the season going into long term. I think that Gerson is in the twilight of his career. I think me and him is going to collect SSI checks together, and that maybe occasionally he'll come over and we'll tell kids to get off our lawn as we, roll around in our rascals. But I think Pettis has a huge upside, especially in that offense. I think with Jimmy G, I think that's going to open up an offensive playbook. The only downside is they're going to be playing in one of the toughest conferences this year. Mm-hmm. They faced the Rams twice.
Yeah,
the Rams defense is hella scary, and I think that might actually play in his favor because you're going to have a lot of the known wide receivers. Yes, I did air quotes on an audio podcast. I think that they're going to be blanketed, and it's going to give him a lot of underneath stuff that he can shine with the ball in his hand. He's going to be able to have a lot of one-on-one coverage, and he's going to be matched up with linebackers. He's going to be able to flat out outrun. So I think once he catches the ball, he's going to be dazzling to put on a highlight show. But I mean, he's got to get the ball in his hands. And I think by the end of the season, he will at least be the wide receiver too.
Well, not to mention, and just to highlight, tougher conference, tough division, but I think even though they faced the Rams twice in that defense, San Francisco's primed to be the second most dynamic offense in that division. So you're not entirely wrong, and I think that he could potentially push to be wide receiver too. So I can't really go against that pick for this one.
So yeah, that'll. Any more comments on your pick?
Actually, I have a question for you guys before we get out of here.
Okay.
Just real quick here.
Yes, that is a baby's arm holding an apple, and I'm pantsless.
Anyways, that's what I'm about to ask because it is a family show.
Yes, it's a family show just for dysfunctional families.
The Manson family probably does listen.
Des Bryant hasn't landed anywhere yet. Do you think Bryant could affect the teams that we have talked about tonight, be it our quarterback for our fantasy quarterbacks that we selected in our draft, or for those of us who picked wide receivers? Do you think it's a possibility that Bryant lands at one of the locations that could affect one of the players that we picked tonight?
Yes, I think he lands right back in Dallas for half the offer that they offered him the first time.
I just don't know who's gonna take the risk on him. The one team I could potentially see, and Eric's gonna absolutely despise me for saying this, but I could see Jacksonville potentially taking a shot at him.
Brandon, I'm not going to despise you for that pick. I'm going to despise you for being inside my damn head because we talked about this. You have not signed the waiver, and I can't afford any therapy. But God, I was agreeing with you because I'm thinking, what can Jacksonville do this season that would be just weird enough to beat Jacksonville and yet potentially dumb enough as a football move? Hey, Des Bryant, come on down to Florida.
I'll do one better.
Okay, go for it.
Can you imagine Des Bryant lining up opposite of Beckham with that offense?
No. Oh
No.
God, no.
And the fact when Des has motivation, he is a great receiver, and putting him in New York opposite of Dez, Ingram, Barkley in the backfield, that offense would be hella scary.
I don't think they would do that with a rookie head coach and in New York. That's just spelling disaster.
Can I have more respect for them for themselves than that?
Can I toss
Go
out a
ahead,
crazy?
yeah.
Cleveland.
I could see that.
There's too many mouths to feed in Cleveland.
But it's Cleveland, so I could totally.
I'm about to say, what's one more?
I'm saying
I'm going to throw one out there.
Assuming that Josh Gordon busts and you end up losing him again, why not Cleveland opposite Jarvis Landry?
Yeah.
True.
You had one more.
I'm toss one out.
Okay.
What about New England?
No. Especially with the turmoil already that they had during this offseason, they're not going to add more by putting in Dez.
Belichick is not in the mood to try to give any more middle fingers right now. He's practically on his way out.
Hold on. Look what all the talk before Randy Moss went to New England.
They were much more stable back then. Didn't they just come off of a Super Bowl that year?
I'm just saying. No, they came off a Super Bowl loss, but I'm just saying.
I'll put one more out there before we go, unless anyone else has any others. I could see him landing in another Florida-based team in Miami.
I could see Miami. I could also see Seattle.
Well, I would see more Miami rather than Seattle, and even hell, really more than Jacksonville.
I could see, honestly, I could see some network throwing money at him to come be on a panel.
I don't think that will happen until later on in the season when he's starting to not get or later on in the summer when he's not getting many offers.
Or unless Barstool comes calling.
Oh.
I'm curious why nobody mentioned Buffalo.
Because Buffalo already has a number one right now in Benjamin. So
I'm not.
And Zay Jones, if he quits showing up naked and cracked out of his mind.
Oh, yeah. Especially, look, the naked thing is one thing, but you can't be naked and cracked out of your mind. One or the other. Choose
both.
I'm trying to think if there's anywhere else you could plug Dez in and he'd be relevant.
I just figured I'd drop Buffalo real quick here. I mean, I know nobody. The only person who picked a Buffalo player was me taking Josh Allen. I think Dez would be an excellent assistant for Allen because he's somebody that knows the wide receiver ropes in the NFL much more so than Benjamin does because Dez has almost a decade of experience in the NFL, whereas Benjamin's only been playing for like 4 seasons.
True. I just don't know if Buffalo will want to take that risk.
What?
It would be a nice revenge factor, but you would have a lot of times to where even Alex Smith wouldn't get him the ball, and then it's lather, rinse, repeat.
I'm still saying, I'm calling it. He's going to be a giant.
I honestly would not be surprised to see him end up somewhere in the NFC East as a revenge factor, even if it is for a significant pay cut.
If it's any team, just because of just because the other two are pretty stable right now, I'd say Washington.
I just think that, what Dez brings to the table, a 1-year contract for him to come to New York.
Him in New York is just disaster waiting to happen.
Not to mention, Dan Snyder would be a lot quicker to pull that kind of trigger than anybody in the Giants front office.
Yeah, the Maras don't exactly like the cocky, big name attitude type guys. I mean,
we signed Brandon Marshall.
True, but that was towards the end of his career, and he kind of simmered down at that point. The only comparison I could bring up is Plaxico Burress, and we all saw how that ended.
Well,
it ended with a catch, a win, and a shot in the leg.
I was going to say, so you're saying Dez shoots himself in the thigh?
Yes, precisely.
I'm just saying, a motivated Dez.
Look, if he's going to pull something like that, do it in New York. I don't want him to do that in any place like Wackos or Solid Gold or SOS down here. We've got too many problems as is.
Hey, I found some awesome DVDs. I found a Super Kick Party Part 1 Ring of Honor Young Bucks set that I have, and a Descent into Madness Kevin Steen 2-disc set that I have. Huh.
Well, with that being said, we're descending into wrestling talk now, so I think that just about does it for this show. Anything else, guys?
I would like to hear more about this Kevin Steen DVD.
And I'd like to say that soccer still sucks.
Hey. World Cup.
Fat Albert.
It's World Cup time, so you gotta respect the soccer, even though my main team is out. It's a shocker, I know. Deutschland is out. So, with that being said, for my normal co-host, Jason Teasley, and the fill-in co-hosts from the Kickoff, bringing in the whole crew, Harry Broadhurst and Erik Watkins, I'm Brandon Biskobing saying so long, and yeah, we'll talk to you guys once it gets closer to August. So, stay tuned.
Wait.
Yes?
Wait. Sorry to steal your thunder as you're wrapping up the show here, but I has an idea.
Okay.
Actually, I has a plug.
Oh,
August 9th, college football. August 16th, the AFC. August 23rd, the NFC. August 30th, playoffs and year-end awards. The Kickoff returns August 9th to the W2M network.
So, yes, we've got that, and then Jason and I will iron out the details on when Fantasy Football to the Max will do an official, full-on preview for the season, probably somewhere mid-August. So be sure to stay tuned for that. So for Jason Teasley, Harry Broadhurst, and Erik Watkins, I'm Brandon Biskobing signing off and saying good night. We'll talk to you guys next time. See you guys.